Hello there, and welcome to Fixing the Sequel Trilogy, usually a Writer's Room podcast, but today a reaction and review podcast for Ahsoka Episode 7, the penultimate episode. I'm joined today by Carmelo, Keating, and Sandro, Karayan for the first time. How you doing, Sandro?
Good.
We usually have 2 hosts on this show. Today we've got 3. It's very exciting.
Yeah, I have time to come.
You've got a lot more time now. You're
That's
not working
good.
in the film industry, but you are on this podcast, which is great for us.
Very exciting.
Yeah, very exciting.
We'll see how today goes.
But
3 hosts on the show.
getting aside from any of that, we have Ahsoka Episode 7 to talk about. Very exciting stuff. We've got the finale next week, and today we've had our lead up to that finale, and we know exactly how it's going to look, or mostly how it's going to look next week, and what we can expect. How do we feel about today's episode?
I actually wasn't all that happy.
Neither was I.
Oh, wow. I enjoyed it. Although I feel like it's a bit scary leading into episode 8 that I'm so used to the Mando format of like having something to sort of like jump straight into. Oh,
There it
already
is.
hit the mic. Having something to jump straight into from episode 7 to 8.
Yeah.
So it's a bit, it's going to be interesting seeing them cram a lot seemingly into episode 8.
Yeah, so I wasn't super high on this episode. I didn't hate it, but it definitely didn't feel as strong as maybe episodes 4, 5, and 6, where it felt like the show really hit its stride and it was just knocking it out of the park over and over again. We start this episode. Shall we jump into the review? Or are we still getting...
I'll just do a few
Just
more
general
initial
impressions.
thoughts.
Yeah.
Yeah, because I've been really impressed with previous Mando seasons when it comes to these 8-episode shows. With episode 7, generally, even in
Episode
season
7 usually slaps and leaves off in an incredible cliffhanger.
Yeah,
kinda
even in
like-
season 3, which was shit, but
Yeah.
episode 7 was good.
Like tends to have feel like a two-parter.
Yeah,
Yeah.
exactly.
This one feels
Yeah.
like a individual
This
episode.
was just to, we'll get into a deep dive later, just an action episode.
It's 40 minutes where it should have been maybe 50 or
Yeah.
something. Yeah.
We should have had more to it. Anyway, I did want to jump into some thoughts from some audience.
Yes, we've got
response
some
stuff,
audience
if
thoughts
that's
this
all right.
week, which is fantastic.
Shout out to my cousin Nathan. When talking about Thrawn and his troopers and his soldiers, how they look, he said, super nerdy observation, Filoni has definitely used Julius Caesar
Yes,
as a muse
no,
for
I remember
Thrawn.
you talking about this.
Yeah, he's basically Space Caesar, but was in Rebels. But Ahsoka has taken it to the next level. He's like Caesar and Gaul with his battle-hardened legions, about to cross the Rubicon and
Yeah.
march on Rome, and that's like sort of like the, I guess the inspiration is especially
Visual
behind,
inspiration.
like Enoch
that golden
as well.
mask that Enoch has.
Yeah.
You showed a photo that is almost directly one of those Roman kind of soldier generals.
Yeah.
That your cousin was talking about.
And then
Really
shout out to my coworker Dom, who said that like sort of they've got their sort of like, because Thrawn, right, is an artist. He really appreciates art
And culture and history, yeah.
Yeah, literally. So his stormtroopers have also got that sort of like Japanese ceramic technique
Yes.
with the gold.
Where they've clearly taken everything that they have and they've fixed the ship as well, the
Yeah.
Chimera, and they've also fixed their armor and made repairs and tried to add onto it through those fixes and stuff. And it's definitely like an attention to detail that Thrawn would have.
Yeah.
Which is really cool visually to see and kind of reinforce Thrawn's character through those visuals and through the prod design. Fantastic.
But yeah, no, that's it from me. Happy to get into the episode if we want
Yeah,
to.
what a way to start the episode. 3 men talking about the Roman Empire.
Very topical.
In character.
Very topical. Yeah, no, it is really cool though. A very awesome note to be pointed out by Nathan there about the Roman Empire
Yeah.
and the inspiration for the show. But we open this show not with anything to do with Enoch or Thrawn's army, but in Coruscant with Mon Mothma. And I was like, oh yes, Coruscant. And very quickly, I was disappointed by this opening scene. I thought it was very silly. The whole crux of it is built around C-3PO and Leia's influence over the show without actually being there in such a direct and profound way to just get Hera almost like actually kind of a Deus Ex Machina
Yeah.
to just get Hera out of trouble
Yep.
and completely do away with any sense of dramatic tension in that part of the story.
Yep.
I see why they'd want to do that because it's not really Hera's show and she doesn't need to be in trouble. But the way it was done through C-3PO like that, I thought was just not satisfying whatsoever.
Yeah. So we open with Hera is standing before this New Republic tribunal to kind of answer for her going against their orders.
Yeah, disobeying orders.
Going out there, and there's this one fucking guy who's just like, Hera, you can't go do these things.
Yeah, he's just clearly got it out for Hera.
Yeah, I get that they're trying to show that there's like not imperial sentiment, but like almost like people playing devil's advocate within the
Yeah.
idea of the New Republic Tribunal.
They're
but,
so like terrified of war or any
Yeah.
talk of the of Imperial remnants and stuff. It's
That
like,
they
no,
just
it's
wanna
not
avoid
happening.
it.
It's
No,
not
that guy's
happening. Yeah.
literally ruled by fear.
Like
Doesn't wanna-
Cornelius Fudge in Harry Potter. It's just like, don't
Literally.
even mention it around us kind of thing.
Yeah, and so he literally moved for Hera to be court-martialed.
Yeah, just wild.
And then, yes, semi-gold, semi-silver C-3PO
Yeah,
rocks
comes out
up in the nick of time.
and just brings in a little data chip that solves the plot for Hera, which is very
So it was
something.
just Leia saying, "I've approved this mission."
Yeah.
It was all good. It's got the clear to go.
Which one doesn't make any fucking sense, and two is so unbelievable that like even I'm on the antagonist side in the scene where he's like that doesn't check out at all. Let's look into this, and everyone's
Yeah.
like, no, it works, it checks out.
Yeah.
Even like everyone, including Mon Mothma, is like, nah, checks out.
If you can do it, maybe do Leia instead of.
I think it's cool that
a
they wanted to show
representative.
like Leia's sway within the Senate.
I guess.
But I think it came off kind of poorly. I also think in an episode that was so like that we feel like could have been longer in certain areas, this scene was too long.
Yeah.
I feel like it could have been shorter.
Yeah, no, it would have just been nice for Hera to, I guess, argue her way out of the situation, for her to win, not be saved by 3PO, which doesn't make any sense. Keep Leia, if you're going to keep Leia out of the story, keep her out of the story.
Yeah.
Don't bring her in this way, because having her puppeteering events from the sidelines without even being on screen makes her feel like this weird deity that Luke has become as well.
Yeah.
I feel like you can name drop without having somebody be like crucial to.
So
what's
here's where
happening
we
in
come
the
into
scene.
something we've been talking about on other episodes. They can't do Han, Lando, Leia, and Luke in these shows because of obvious, like,
just can't.
outside of the story reasons.
Yeah.
But in the story, they should be there. It doesn't really make sense for them not to be. So for them to use Leia in this way continues to add on to this idea of like deifying these characters, which none of us
There
are
are
really.
these massive galaxy-defining events, which we know that our heroes are always caught
They
up
should
in.
be heroes within these events.
They should be.
Not generals or weird people off on the sidelines, like puppeteering things, like strange gods. It's
Yeah.
just so strange.
Just because we're not in the original
Is
trilogy
it that
era.
she's off planet? Is that the whole gist?
They don't tell us. They do not tell us where Leia is or what she's doing.
Oh, okay.
At all, from what I recall of the episode, and
Oh,
how
wait, no.
little they mention her.
They say that she is like the head
she's
of
off-world?
the
The
security
head of the
defense council.
Yeah, the head of the defense council.
That's why her. That's why her.
That's
like,
her job.
Yeah, and that's why having it in
The
quote
clearance.
writing is okay.
Yeah.
Yeah.
My confusion is earlier in this show, Ahsoka, they say that Hera is leading the defense. She's a general leading a large group.
She
She's
must be
leading.
leading the
She's
actual-
leading Home One.
That, and then Leia is like the senator in charge of it because she is a senator.
I guess it's just
Mm.
very weird, especially when Hera and Leia are so similar in terms of the role they occupy within the military and within the Senate.
Especially
politics.
when Hera's looking for permission for the mission, she doesn't go to Leia.
Yeah, it's
Goes
weird,
to
right?
different senators.
Because I suppose like Leia's like minister for defense is the equivalent,
But
and,
at the
and
same
Hera is
time-
actually in the military.
It's that problem that you were just talking about of like they should be there, but like for logistical reasons,
They
you
can't be.
have them there.
So then to use Leia in this way kind of makes you question, okay, well, if they're in the show this way, why aren't they show this way? And it leaves it very nebulous and leaves you without clear answers. And I think that's a very detriment to the writing of the show. And I was very, very annoyed the second the scene finished. I was like, that's what okay, cool, I hate that. I was just like, cool, let's move on. I hated that a lot.
I think it's definitely a hard line to cross. I imagine like trying to play around with that.
Yeah.
And
I definitely don't envy the writing team or the
Yeah.
production team, but still.
And the
it's
only other
frustrating.
thing we get then is a discussion after it's all blown over with Hera and
Yeah.
Mon Mothma being like, "Is this a real threat?" Yeah. Anyway, cut away.
And they cut away.
Yep.
So then we get to the actual good part of the episode. What was the show? What was the episode called this week? I actually forget. We get the title card drop.
Was it Masters and
No.
something? No,
No.
Mysteries.
Oh, Dreams and Madness, I think it was called.
Yeah,
something like
right.
that.
I think something
which is
like that.
It's a
What-
quote. That's a quote from something.
Oh yeah, I think that's like Shakespeare or some shit. But what the fuck is that even in relation to? Honestly, is there much madness in this episode?
It made me mad. Ness.
Weird title. I like
yeah.
most of the other titles, but anyway.
Okay, so do we come back into the crab people? Is that where we first started, or is it
Grab
Thrawn?
people. Grab
I think we
people.
start over at Thrawn.
Yep.
I believe.
And what? Oh yeah, they're
Yeah,
being like,
Thrawn's doing his
what,
master plan.
What'd you
yeah.
learn about Ahsoka? Ahsoka is Anakin Skywalker's apprentice. What?
Yeah, no, I thought that was really cool. I think the Inquisitors having that information and then presenting it to Thrawn that way, I thought that made a lot of sense, and it made sense that that wouldn't be something he had known yet, because he never actually personally interacted with Ahsoka
was-
No.
until now.
Thinking about it because you brought it up, but she dies before Thrawn comes into
Yeah,
the
yeah,
Rebel
yeah.
series.
Yep.
So
So
he
he-
dies in
yeah.
season 2, yeah.
So they'd never had a chance to meet. I did see. I really liked his reaction when reading that, and he's like,
It was very good. He's like,
Anakin
oh, this
Skywalker.
changes
"Yeah,"
everything.
because they have a history.
They do.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it's a lot for the gives a lot for the Thrawn fans out there that
Yeah.
are like, oh well, it's canon that he met Anakin Skywalker
I mean, it makes sense for him to have met Darth Vader.
and
Both,
Vader.
yeah.
Both.
So he met Anakin Skywalker before his turn.
Yep.
Yeah.
That's interesting.
Yeah.
How
Like-
long's Thrawn been in the military?
No, but this is back in the Clone Wars. It
Yeah.
had to do with like Chiss shit.
Oh,
in the day.
that's cool.
Yeah.
Yeah, he wasn't in the military. He was just on a planet that Anakin was sent to.
Yeah.
And that's kind of how he got introduced to there's this republic and there's this insidious guy and there's an empire and there's this opportunity to like rule fucking everything.
Yeah.
And then also Thrawn was made the bold choice to tell Vader, hey, so you were Anakin. And he lived to tell that tale.
See, that feels like something Thrawn would do. I
Mm.
love Thrawn. He's great. But okay, so we're getting Thrawn and he's talking about his master plan and stuff and what he's doing with the rest of the team. And then we get to Ahsoka and she is jumping out of hyperspace with
Well, she does a little bit of training.
Yang. She's
thing.
training. That's right.
Yeah.
She's training with Anakin's hologram, which we find out he left 20 of, and that was the last one.
Yeah.
It was very cute. I thought it was a sweet moment.
I thought that was really sweet. I told you guys, I just watched the Tales of the Jedi. I rewatched them with my mate a few nights ago.
Yeah.
And there's like a few like repeated lines from the Ahsoka
Yep,
episode
saw
that are
that.
in that training video.
Oh, that's very cool. I didn't
I'm like,
notice.
oh, that's cute. That's nice.
From that lightsaber episode, like through the eras.
Yeah.
Yeah, cool. But yes, so they're like, oh yeah, we think we're jumping out of hyperspace.
Yeah,
They're
Hu
slowing
Yang's
down.
like, we've detected they're slowing down. And
Yeah.
they go to sit in the cockpit and they come out of hyperspace. Very cool.
minefield.
And then you're seeing like these explosions through the mouth of this Purgle,
Yeah.
and they're like, "What's going on?" And they go out and you see this massive minefield. I thought this was visually very impressive, and the more I thought about it, the more it actually kind of made sense. I was like, "This actually kind of works for me in terms
Yeah.
of like Star Wars science weird stuff."
I think it's practical. I think because it's interesting because there's a very uniform lanes and lines sort of way that
Yes.
it's all laid out, but they're magnetic as well.
yeah,
get-
and
they
they're
get
like
drawn in.
homing onto these ships in the Purgle and stuff like
Yeah,
that. I thought
so
it was
the-
cool.
Purgle fuck off because
Yeah, they all jump out of there, which was fun.
Yep.
Leaving Ahsoka to kind of fend for herself and navigate through this minefield. There never really feels like there's a huge amount of stakes when they're flying the ship. it's
No,
it's always pretty safe. I really like the early episode where she's flying right up to the lightspeed ring and the ship gets taken out and it's like, oh, they're out of commission. She has to spacewalk and all that kind of stuff.
Yep.
To kind of navigate this fight scene. A lot of the fight scenes don't have that level of stakes.
Yep.
So it's just kind of her navigating through and we're like, she's probably gonna be fine. Then she hides in the ring, the graveyard ring of Peridia, which is where all the Purgle go to die.
Oh, pretty. Oh, you want to check the planet name?
Yeah, it's,
Yeah,
it's in the
nice.
old noggin. Yeah.
Nice. Okay, and then we're back down to
Sabine and Ezra.
Yeah.
And they're going through some of the shared information, and Ezra is still not aware of all of the recent events of the show.
No,
which is
but
fun.
they're like recapping the original trilogy
Yeah.
era. And Sabine's like, the Emperor's dead, or so we think.
So we think,
yeah.
so we've heard.
Somehow.
Secrets only the Sith knew. Yeah, and so where from there?
They're just having like a cute chat, and we're getting a lot of like their interactions. I think are still like really great. I think the dialogue. I think Ezra is nailing it. I'm
Yeah.
very impressed by his characterization of the
Yeah, we
from Rebels.
we get more of that this episode. I think of like, yeah, this is Ezra, especially when they're fighting and how he's going about fighting. It's like,
Yeah.
feels very.
And they're navigating. They're making their way across the land. What are they trying to get to at this point of the show?
I think they're just moving.
I think they're just moving camp.
They're
Yeah,
traveling
it's like
with
let's
the druidic crab people.
Yeah, they're
which
just
I love.
traveling across land. I think at this point of the show, Sabine's like, okay, well, Ahsoka's dead. I've gotten here. This is the end of my road. I'm just going to hang out with Ezra.
Yeah.
It's kind of where she's at.
I think she still wants to get him off.
I mean, she
Galaxy.
wants to, but it doesn't seem like she's actively pursuing like the one thing that will get her out of this galaxy is Thrawn's ship. That's it. So at this point, it doesn't seem like she's really entertaining the idea of getting off the planet, which I thought was interesting.
Yes. Okay, so Balin and Shin,
Yeah.
and he's like, go hunt them
Yeah,
alone.
See, I thought this was actually really good. What do you
They
got, Sandro?
part ways. I loved it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm like, I said he's such a good teacher. I kind of love his like misguided teachings, but like he gives a good lesson about like he basically just says pride cometh before the fall. And then he says, I'll see you later.
You kind of did say that.
Yeah.
yeah. Yeah, I really like Balin. I disagree. I don't think he's a good teacher. I think he's a bad teacher.
Selfish.
That could have been a really good teacher.
I think
in a
he's-
different life.
Like a really good teacher with a very like misguided philosophy.
Okay. No, I see that. But yeah, so he says to Shin's like, aren't you coming with me to kill Ahsoka and, complete the quest? And he's like, no, I've got a different quest now. I'm leaving. Good luck with your quest. Your ambition drives you, but don't let it like destroy you kind of thing. And then he leaves. And I
We
was like,
still
this
haven't
is-
got more context to what that is. Like, is it because he wanted to stop Ahsoka?
I was thinking we were going to get a lot more context for what people online are just saying is the Aboleth. I don't know if you guys have heard of this one
Right.
from EU or extended. You haven't heard of the Aboleth?
No idea.
Okay, well, apparently it's like some really dark side, powerful creature or something
Yeah.
that can exert huge amounts of power over the dark side of the Force. I actually didn't read into it. I just seen like the word and I've
Right.
heard it tossed around a bit.
Interesting.
I haven't seen that go around at all.
Oh, really?
That
I'm just on Reddit a lot. So
Yeah, that that'd be interesting to see. I think it'd be. I'm just curious to see what it is.
I thought that was plausible until we got this episode, which is like a whole lot of like it's a lot of fighting, a lot of action, but not a whole lot of story beats, and not a lot of change.
No.
And it leaves not a whole lot of room
Not
for
all the
anything
character stuff.
next episode. Like like you said, not a lot of character stuff, and we've only got one episode left.
Yeah.
So it's how are they going to tie up Balin's story? I think is a big question for us.
So after this, there's a bit of cross cutting between Thrawn sending some like locating where Ahsoka is within the rubble
Yeah.
of the space debris,
This is a big, like, I think it's like 15, 20 minutes of like action set
Yeah.
piece stuff, which is really great.
and then from there it's just action. Ahsoka flies down into the planet. She escapes like the fire.
Yeah.
Um,
Just before that, they use the Night Sister magic to triangulate
Yes.
her location within the ring, the graveyard ring, which I thought was pretty cool.
Oh, and Ahsoka also reaches out through the Force.
And
to
she
Sabine.
does. She's trying to find Sabine. She reaches out through the Force. And I thought this was a really great moment where they're cutting between Ahsoka and Sabine, and then it cuts to the Night Sister.
It's a good cut. It's like a really good
And
intercept.
it's like they're all connected to the Force right now, and that's helped the Night Sisters find Ahsoka in
Yeah.
the ring. I was like, this is a really great use of like using these plot pieces and these elements of characters' powers and abilities to kind of tie plot elements together. It's just, it makes sense. It's very smart.
Yeah, no, I agree. And then we just go into action.
It's action, action, action from there for a fair while. We get Sabine and Ezra fighting off the Raiders and Shin. We get Ahsoka diving through, avoiding blaster bolts and all that kind of thing.
And then jumping out of the ship.
And jumping out of the ship,
Yep.
harkening back to Clone Wars days where she cannot avoid getting outside of a ship while
Yep.
she's in it. It's very funny.
And also going back to Clone Wars days, we get some very prequel CGI as she lands.
yeah, that was not a good moment. And I think it's like, it sticks out so much because so much of the CG in the show is very,
good,
very
yeah.
good.
Yeah.
So that moment where she lands and it's just a very, very blurry, very early 2000s kind of CG, I was like, ooh.
I wonder if it was just like a deep blue crash mat. And
Who
that's why
knows?
it kind of
Yeah.
looks
Yeah.
janky. I'm not sure.
A lot of motion blur on that one.
Yeah. And then we have the Knight versus the Samurai Part 2.
Which rules.
It's
And
a really good fight.
I think we establish here that Balin's just better than Ahsoka. Like, he's that good that she's like, I probably can't beat you. It's fine. I'm not going to try.
then
And she
yeah.
has Hu Yang come down, drops the flares. It's great. You jump in, Mel.
Good. No, yeah, that makes some smoke bomb flares, gets away,
Yeah.
steals his wolf horse. Haha, motherfucker, got your wolf horse
no,
now.
he doesn't have a wolf force.
Yeah.
And I think, and this is like a subtle thing, but part of what they're trying to do with the show is have Ahsoka, interact with the idea of pacifism versus violence and, what goal she would want to achieve. In the first fight with Balin, she fights Balin and it's like, it doesn't really go well. She gets really angry. She hurts Shin because she thinks Sabine is dead. And then she gets defeated by Balin.
Yep.
And it's like violence meets violence and she loses. Violence loses in the end. With this, she's like, I'm choosing nonviolence. I'm going to run away and be wiser and smarter and avoid you because I don't want to try and fight you. I don't have
Yeah.
time for that.
And you do see that come full circle when it comes to Shin. So, yes, Shin and Balin have teamed up with this local tribe that's trying to hunt down
Yeah.
Ezra and them. And so, yeah, they're hunting them down. The crab people are getting away, and then they have to,
Hunkering
like,
down and stuff. They're
Yeah.
trying to do a chase scene to get away, but one of them, I think, gets taken out.
pretty much.
Yeah, with like
his ship.
an electric shock prod. So they're like, okay, well, let's go into like defense mode, and everyone hunkers down,
Yeah.
Yep.
switches into defense mode. It's
Yep.
cool.
The Studio Ghibli ships.
Yeah, you pointed out that they actually look a lot like the Studio Ghibli kind of design of spaceships and
Like
stuff.
the AI generated stuff.
Yeah, or it actually reminded me of, I don't know if you've seen Nausicaa in the Valley of the Wind.
Oh, right.
They actually a lot of similar design style to that one. But
So they get ready for a fight. And Sabine goes to hand Ezra the lightsaber, and he's like,
Oh,
no,
this is
I don't need
great.
it. The Force is my ally.
this is really great. He's so like charismatic.
Yeah.
It's like it really is just like a 20-year-old version of Ezra. It's great.
It's great. And then, yeah, so they go into a fight, and Sabine's not using the saber. She's mostly using blasters, taking people out. And same deal with Ezra. He's just like fucking pushing people.
He's just like
throwing
force
people.
punching people.
I swear to God, I saw Force kick used.
There was a Force kick.
I didn't see the force kick.
There's
That's
a force
great.
kick.
Yep, Luke Skywalker.
Canon.
Return of
We've
the Jedi.
canonized Luke Skywalker's Force kick.
Does he do
finally.
a force kick on Jabba's floating barge?
Yep,
Well, he
because of
he
bad
misses
choreography.
Yeah, choreography bad. Misses a guy he's meant to kick, and then like years later on Twitter, Mark Hamill says it was a Force kick.
That's really funny. I've never thought of that. That's really funny.
Let's think about it for a second, because it's not entirely not plausible.
Yeah,
right?
I agree.
Force kick, right?
It's not unplausible.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Force push. Anyway, so yeah, they are fighting, and then Shin gets there, and we go to Shin has a swipe at Ezra,
Oh yeah,
singes his
Oh,
hairs.
That was great. He dodges just out of the way, singes his hair a little bit. Just like one of those really great character moments.
Yeah, and
Just
then
like fun.
then he has a bit of a fight with her without a lightsaber.
He's just
pretty
dodging,
interesting.
blocking at the hand and at the hilt, which is really cool. It's a great use of like martial arts that we don't really see enough from Jedi. I really love seeing this.
Real
you get to
Jedi.
see it in that last episode of Tales with Ahsoka versus the the Inquisitor.
Yep.
That hunts her down.
Yeah, true. And we know that also that Thrawn is watching this, kind of seeing this whole battle happen from his little Settlers of Catan game board.
So we're watching this and there's little hexagons and stuff. And like, this looks like a battle map for like a tabletop RPG or some shit.
Yeah,
It's
because they've
really
got, this,
funny.
they've got this droid deployed that's basically like tracking.
Yeah, which
whole
is
time.
honestly like really cool. I love when they kind of use science or like technology really
Yeah.
creatively. I thought this was cool, and it shows Thrawn is like overseeing everything. And
So he also sends in stormtroopers to go
Mhm.
settle this whole thing, and they're in on the old like Clone Wars, but
troop transport.
yeah, those
Yeah.
Coruscant based ones. And then also stormtroopers just getting taken out left and right. Ahsoka gets there and starts taking people out, and he basically just calls off the attack because he's like, "Yeah, this has been the perfect distraction. We're almost finished loading the cargo that we still don't know what it is.
Yeah.
I'm saying it's bodies.
We're seeing a lot of like brilliant Thrawn stuff here, where he's playing the big game. He's like, my ultimate goal is to get off planet and leave these fuckers behind.
Yeah.
The longer we can distract them and keep them from getting close to us, the less chance they have of doing something unpredictable. Because he doesn't know what they're going to do. He doesn't think like them, but he knows how they think in a sense.
Yeah.
So he knows how to predict their unpredictability.
There's
It's really
that-
cool.
Yeah, there's that one moment where he's like, just let Ahsoka Tano do what she wants to do.
Yeah. And keep her distracted while she's doing it.
Yeah. Because she's gonna head straight towards something that we don't need to chase after.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And it's big brain.
Yeah.
Very
fun
big
to
brain,
watch.
very big picture from Thrawn.
So they finish killing all their enemies, and then like Shin's kind of there face to face, and Ahsoka's like, "Let me help you." And there's this moment because the other two are gonna go get her, and she just
Shin's like,
runs off.
you know what I think about that? And it just sprints.
Yeah.
Jumps on
Um,
a space wolf and
yeah.
gets the hell out.
But it is interesting because I've seen a lot of stuff on the internet over the course of this show where everyone's like, even though we don't get a lot out of Shin, it's like from what we do, it seems like she wants to be a Jedi. She's not wholly convinced of Balin's path, and maybe there is that potential. She does. It does seem like the sort of character who, if you keep with her in future, that it's like, yeah, she'll probably turn to the light side.
It's very interesting. I'm pretty sure we're all like thinking Balin's gonna die.
Oh yeah,
He seems like fated for death
Yeah,
kind of thing,
yeah.
which is awesome. Just like his character in general, is just such like a Shakespearean, like I'm looking off in the distance, pondering power and destined for doom. Like
Yeah.
it's so campy. I love it.
So yeah, then we're left with our heroes all together.
Yeah.
With a ship. So there is still a chance. So
Yeah.
what's your plan, Thrawn? Because plot armor determines that your fighters can't take out the Jedi shuttle. So
Yes. Exactly. So we get that last kind of moment with Thrawn and Morgan Elsbeth where he's like, okay, none of this matters. We've got 15% left on this bar of progress before we can, all of our cargo is loaded and we can get out of this galaxy forever and leave them behind. That's his goal. And these guys obviously want to stop Thrawn from getting back and reforming the Empire, and they also want to get back to their own galaxy as well. So that's their kind of big dramatic question for the next episode of how they're going to do that, and how can Ahsoka do that without being incredibly violent, I think will be the question they ask her.
and how do you do that in one episode? How do you do that to end out this season with no promised season 2?
And also, how do you tie up Balin's goals?
Yeah.
Strange,
It seems
mysterious,
like
very
Balin
interesting story.
Is completely content with staying on the planet. Like he doesn't want to leave.
Yeah, no, I don't think that's true, because he's talked a lot about reshaping the galaxy. He's like, this galaxy's dead, but we can reshape the other one. That's what he's talked about this whole time. So I don't know. I'm very curious to see how it all comes together and what Balin does.
It's just like he seems to, because he's kind of in the know of, like Thrawn's plan
Yeah.
to leave.
Yeah.
Obviously, he doesn't know that Thrawn's planning on leaving him behind, but he's like, it strikes me as like he might have like another idea of getting off somehow.
Giant Purgle. Super
Giant.
Purgle.
Yeah.
Super Purgle.
So fun D&D fact for you guys. An aboleth is a D&D creature, and I don't know why they've used that name for Star Wars stuff, and I'm not sure where the actual origin of the name is. A lot of D&D stuff is inspired by Egyptian and Greek myth, yada yada yada. But in D&D, aboleth is a giant squid monster that has psychic powers. So the use of that word kind of, brings to mind eldritch ancient horrors of some kind from a distant realm, which is very cool. And like the idea of that might being introduced in this story is very interesting. But with one episode, that seems like a really big thing
It's gonna
to
have
pull
to
out
be
of
a long
nowhere.
episode.
I think we need a long episode.
Yeah,
Like an hour and a half.
like a
kinda long.
90.
Yeah, like a
90 minute
really long episode. If they're gonna do something that huge, it'd be really.
Feature film episode.
Yeah, and I just can't. I see that as very unlikely that they would do that.
Yeah.
It's most likely going to be an hour, because that's the longest they've had so far. So it might be an hour 10. It's still going to be an episode of TV with like a normal TV kind of arc.
Just like the Mando finale is just slightly longer.
Slightly longer. Yeah.
Let's theorize for a second. Like, what do you guys think happens next episode?
I think Balin goes into a dark side cave of some kind.
Yeah.
That's my bet.
Well, like down by the ocean,
oh yeah.
gets
yeah.
this squid thing.
Yeah.
perhaps.
I think Thrawn still has like a few more like weird tricks that like haven't been presented to the audience yet.
I think his
Maybe-
cargo is the trick.
Maybe
It's-
he's like, yeah, there's something in the cargo, or maybe he's like completely fine with like, oh, we have 90% of the cargo. Let's leave.
let's book it out of here.
Would he?
What's in the
Why not
cargo?
go
It
now?
depends
It's
what's in
bodies.
the
It
cargo.
It depends what the cargo
bodies.
is. So you think it's bodies of
It's
what?
like maybe like Night Sisters or Dark Side users of some kind. It's
Yeah.
bodies.
Right. Okay.
Yeah, so the Night Sisters are here, and they present a really interesting question of how much dark magic is Thrawn willing to use to win back the Empire. And it seems like it's a fair bit. He's asked him for help, I think, twice now.
Yeah.
In the show, and obviously more before that. So it's interesting to think, like, how far is he willing to go into this dark magic kind of stuff?
And what are the Night Sisters getting from that deal
Yeah.
as well? Because it seems like they're super tight with him,
They're
even though
loyal
he
to him.
crash lands on their planet.
Yeah. Well, he didn't crash land, did he? Or did he crash and then,
Well,
like,
the
they
Purgles
rebuilt
take the Star Destroyer there.
And then they would have rebuilt the starship there.
Yeah.
Interesting.
So, he would have come there as an outsider.
Yeah, what does he have to
And
offer
Night
there?
Sisters aren't like typically super
Trusted.
friendly to
No, they are not. So-
outsiders, as we've seen from Clone Wars. Unless these ones are different. They're more like the three witches.
They do. They're exactly like
They're
the Three Witches.
I haven't
It's
heard
so
them
great.
bubble nor toil in trouble.
Yes.
Yeah, it's very clear that much like Lucas, Filoni has been inspired by Shakespeare and Shakespearean writing here, which is cool.
Yeah.
And it's to the service of the show, incorporating knights and wizards and witches
Yeah.
and that kind of thing. It's very old school high adventure.
Yeah. And also Lord of the Rings. I mean, this episode is kind of just like that bit in Two Towers
Oh,
where
yeah.
they send the orcs and the wargs after the Rohirrim.
Yeah, it's very similar. You've got the grassy fields and these these like bandit kind of characters riding their wargs
Yeah.
across the plains. It's great.
Now we got to get back to Orthanc and see what's going on with our big villain.
Yeah, exactly.
Even like coming into this, I'm questioning: is there a season 2? Are they planning on doing a season 2?
They have no stated plans for season 2,
It was
but it
rumored
feels like there should
before.
be.
And then I think they were gonna wait and see how this one went.
Yeah.
Yeah, pretty much. Nothing announced yet.
The reception of this show seems pretty good. I think mostly people are pretty high on it from everything I've seen. I don't know about you guys.
Somehow this show has to. I mean, I've been really enjoying it, but somehow this show has to then tie into the Mandoverse.
Yeah,
Which
so that's
is-
the real big thing. And like Orson, is it Carson Teva?
Carson Teva?
Yeah, so he mentioned the Mandoverse this episode in the first scene on Coruscant.
Mm.
He's like, "What about the issues on Mandalore?" And very much
Yeah,
reminded me
the
of, like,
Empire,
what about the
yeah.
what about the Wookiees of Kashyyyk?
Yeah.
Oh my God,
What
yeah.
about the droid attack on the Wookiees? And they're like,
Like, that was just Gideon doing Gideon
yeah.
things.
So they would say like that's just Gideon by himself. He doesn't count. And it's like, okay,
They don't
dickhead.
know about the Shadow Collective.
Yeah, well,
Yeah.
they never reveal the Shadow Collective stuff.
Yep.
We only the audience knows that was kind of happening,
Yep.
and that Brendel Hux is trying to resurrect Palpatine.
Fucking Brendol.
Yeah.
Hux.
So yeah,
Jeez.
there's a lot of questions. There's a lot of questions going into episode 8, and I think this episode left us worried more than excited. And I
Yeah.
think that's why we're a bit negative on this one, because we're like, shit, this is a lot to
Would have
cover.
been
in
fine
one
if it
episode.
wasn't episode 7.
Yeah, exactly. I think they maybe could have benefited from an episode 9 or something.
Mm.
Really have a very good denouement when they get back to their galaxy, which is the fun writing word that I learned this week, which is what happens after the climax when you're wrapping it up everything. It's like the hobbits go back to the Shire.
Say it again?
epilogue
The
kind of
denouement.
thing.
Is it French?
French, yeah. It's spent denouement, but it
Denouement.
turns out it's French and you're not supposed to say it like that.
If there's any French people listening, denouement. Anyway.
Yeah. But yeah, so I think that's going to be all for our breakdown of episode 7 this week. Unless you guys have any final thoughts?
Yeah, no, I'm excited going into episode 8. I think there's like big shoes to fill, but I'm optimistic with the way the show's been tracking so far.
Just quickly, because we all made a note when we were listening. We all spoke out loud in the episode when this was happening. Sabine is skirting around the question when talking to Ezra early on in the episode.
Yes.
Of what happened to Ahsoka. It was like, oh yeah, Ahsoka was training me. And she has zero reaction to the fact that she thinks she's dead.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It was a weird
It
moment.
was a weird moment.
Yeah, kind of remorseless. Kind of a
Yeah.
bad acting, directing choice.
Yeah,
I
just-
think so.
I think it was a continuity thing. Where it's
Yeah.
like, wait, Ahsoka's dead, which means Sabine needs to be reacting to Ahsoka's death.
But she's kind of just like,
it's chill."
It's a weird story.
Yeah.
Yeah, it kind of
Anyway.
felt kind of like, remorseless and
Mm.
like uncomfortable to the character as she should be.
Yep.
Good final note, Mello.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think it's a great way to end it off. That's-
I'm cautiously optimistic for next week, but you can catch us here next week with do our final review of the finale of episode 8 of Ahsoka. You can also catch us every week doing our normal show, which is us writing and trying to fix the sequel trilogy. We are fixing the sequel trilogy, of course. You can find us also on Instagram, YouTube, TikTok, everywhere that's good, which is not Twitter or X. Fucking Twitter X. But until next time, may the force be with you.